experienced sewers fumble on this. The top tips you need to know before you even start sewing jersey knit fabrics. I talked about this already. I found an old thumbnail and it sparked my interest in doing this video. And I also was working with somebody who's been sewing for a while in one of my membership groups. And this is just something I think we need to address. And that is, what to know before you even start sewing jersey knit fabric. So this will be part 1. Possibly I'll have part 2. So let's get into it. So tip number 1 is to know your stretch fabric, to know your stretch jerseys and stretch knits and stretch wovens. Knit fabrics, including knit jersey, is constructed from looping yarns, not straight yarns like woven fabric. The looping structure is what gives the knits their stretch and recovery. The construction of the fabric, our loops are drawn, and then new loops are drawn through those previous loops to create the stretch. Jersey knit fabric typically stretches side to side because of the looping structure. But if it stretches in the other direction as well, that is due to the additional spandex or lycra added. Unlike woven fabric that have yarns that cross over and under each other. Knitted loops are typically called stitches when they are pulled through another loop. These are technical terms, and forgive me when I'm saying threads when I mean yarn throughout this video. I was very tired. Continue on. So the most common knits is jersey knits that I have here. This is a typical jersey model, and it stretches quite a bit, and this stretches in both directions because it has elastin in it. This is just a straight cotton jersey. Here's the selvage. I'm stretching across the fabric, and you can see it stretches really well here. This is a certain design on the actual knit itself, but it's not really stretching in this direction. That's because it's just made out of the loops of cotton threads. This is ribbing. Now ribbing stretches quite a bit, and as you can see, doesn't really stretch in this direction. It's usually used for cuffs and collars or all over rib knit, which is what I'm wearing today. Then you have what's called ponte, or a double knit, where if you look closely, it almost looks like there are 2 layers that have been put together. And this stretches a little bit more dense in the stretching process, a little bit thicker, usually used for bottom weight garments and substantial dresses that you don't want to show any lumps and bumps under. And it's not stretching again in this direction. Why? Because there's no spandex in it. This is just a wool jersey knit, again not stretching in this direction. So spandex included in the knit fabric is what causes the stretch to go this way as well as this way, hence using things like a tree coat for underlining garments in sheer knits like this, or a very serious spandex used for swimwear or activewear that will stretch in both directions. Now the confusing part that people get confused with, and that is stretch woven. So woven is exactly what I said. It is woven fabric. It is not looped and made in a knit format. It is still made with straight threads going this way and straight threads going this way. But what they've included is some elastin in it. So then you can get a little bit of a stretch. Not much, but just a little bit of a stretch. Some of them who have plenty of elastin, this is also a woven stretch here as well, and you can see that there's so much spandex woven into this that it stretches both this way and even this way. Then there are harder or stronger materials that are used for undergarments or understructures that is also a woven. So again, it's just threads going this way and threads going this way with a little bit of elastin in it. This one is stretched in a different way because this is a different type of undergarment structured woven with spandex in it in order to stretch. But this is stretching on the selvage, unlike across the fabric itself. Now, hugely important that no one seems to actually do, and that is to determine the amount of stretch your knit has. First, you need to get a ruler out, and you need to cut a piece of your jersey or your knitted fabric with the selvage and tack on one side across, giving yourself a few inches in width. Then you need to get your ruler out, fold under about an inch underneath it, take the selvage part out away from the 1, and then mark your finger at the 4, and then without it being distorted, meaning don't do this, go ahead and stretch it just before it gets distorted. And then I'm getting just a 5 on this one. So if the 4 gets to the 5, that is a 25% stretch fabric. Here with my spandex or my swimwear, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm folding underneath where the selvage is. I'm taking the selvage away from the ruler part, going the 4 inches with my mark, and then stretching it without it getting distorted, and I'm getting like a 6. And that means from the 4 to the 6 is about 50% stretch on this fabric. I've taken my model jersey and I've got the selvage folded under and away from the number 1. I've got my finger on the 4 and I'm stretching this, and this one can actually go a little bit beyond the 6 comfortably. So this is almost a little bit more than a 50% stretch on this model jersey. Let's not forget the rib jersey fabric. I'm folding underneath about an inch. I've got the selvage over here where the 1 is, taking it away, put my finger at the 4, and this is stretching again beyond the 6 comfortably. So this is about a 75% stretch. So why is this so important? Well, if you're working on professional patterns, because that's what I teach basically here, you're going to have to make adjustments to your pattern. If that pattern was made for woven fabric, it has to change for knits. You have your sloper here. This is a torso sloper, and this was made for a woven fabric. In this particular size, depending on the amount of stretch that you have to take out, you have to do what's called negative ease. You have to remove the excess that is used when you're actually making woven garments. So you have to come into the garment depending upon how much you have to take off. So if you had a 2-inch stretch, you have to then take out about 2 inches overall in the circumference of the pattern itself. This is the front torso, meaning I would have to take out about a 1/2 inch on this one and a 1/2 inch on the other side, and that another 1/2 inch and another 1/2 inch would make 1 inch on one side and 1 inch on the other side, so that would be a total of 2 inches. I would maybe not do it completely all the way across because there's also grading processes that are involved in tweaking the pattern to make a woven sloper into a stretch sloper. If you're working with commercial patterns, meaning home sewing patterns that you get in the stores or online, you need to look at the suggested fabrics that they suggest and not go crazy with that unless you can calculate and make adjustments to your pattern, because that pattern was designed and made for the negative ease that's required for that design. So once you get something, let's say with a 50 to 75% stretch, that pattern might not be able to work with that fabric, and it will still be too much fabric on the garment itself, in the finished garment. So keep that in mind. The reason why I'm even sparked to do this video was because like I said, I had a student who was struggling putting a woven fabric onto a knitted fabric for a simple design. That looks simple, but it's complicated if you don't know the engineering involved. And let me show you what I mean. She had a skirt shape that was like this that had to go into a waistband, but the waistband was too tight and the skirt itself was still tight as well. The problem was, not only was she working with a woven fabric and a stretch fabric at the same time, she also didn't give the ample amount of stretch or ease making the pattern, so that it had to come a little bit further when you're actually making the pattern. So that's a whole nother story in itself. So I instructed her to grow the pattern like this in order to accommodate the extra stretch that the knit might have had for the waistband. But that's not all, guys. This fabric here, in order to sew into this can't be straight grain to sew into a knit. It can in certain instances, but not in most instances. So what you would have to do is go ahead and take your actual pattern piece and then determine your bias grain on the actual skirt itself. So when then this is cut on the bias, this is bias, this would be straight grain, and this would be cross grain. I determined the bias, which quickly I will show you how I did that. I go ahead and put a lengthwise grain. I put a crosswise grain perpendicular to the lengthwise grain. And then I go ahead and put my square in here, a 2-inch block square of my clear plastic ruler, and on opposite sides of that 2-inch block I put a little mark and a little mark, and that'll indicate a perfect 45-degree angle, which is a perfect bias cut. So when this is cut on the bias, it will then have what's called mechanical stretch, or a little bit more give than your average woven fabric, and it'll be easier to sew in these two pieces together and give you a nice congruent shape, and with the ample amount of stretch that's sealed in there for the design itself. I want to hear from you guys. Did you get something out of this? Give me a comment, like, subscribe, encourage me to make some more videos, and come on board to be a part of my members group. It's a small group, guys. It's a small fee for the premium membership on my YouTube channel. I'll put the link below, and that is like $9.99 a month, and you get a free Zoom meeting with me that lasts a good hour with the group, asking questions and learning specific things that are not actually on my videos, that are just for you. So I hope that you'll join and check out the next video, and let me know if you want part 2. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.